right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive today into something I find super intriguing. Can simply moving our bodies actually help protect our brains?
Ooh, that's the big question, isn't it? And there's some fresh research from the American Academy of Neurology's meeting that just might give us some
So
answers.
we're not just talking about feeling good after a workout.
Hmm.
This is about potentially preventing serious conditions like dementia, stroke, anxiety, even, get this, sleep problems.
It is, yeah, heavy stuff. And the study, what makes it so interesting is the size of it. They used wearable tech to track activity levels of over 73,000 people.
Wait, 73,000 people? That's incredible. A whole small city's worth, and all wearing trackers. Tell me more. That's got to be way more reliable than asking people to remember what they did, right?
Right. Totally. It takes away all that guesswork. And what they found was pretty amazing. People who got a good amount of moderate to vigorous physical activity had a much lower risk of developing the conditions we talked about.
Okay, I'm with you. I'm hooked. But significantly lower, what does that actually mean? Give me the numbers.
We're talking 14 to 40% lower risk, depending on the condition and how active they were. Think about, I don't know, brisk walking, dancing, even good old-fashioned housework that gets your heart going.
See, this is why I love these deep dives. We're talking about everyday activities, not training for a marathon. But I'm guessing there's a flip side, isn't there?
Yep, you know it.
Huh.
The study also found that more time sitting was linked to a higher risk of those same conditions, and in some cases, it was a lot higher, up to 54%. So it seems like it's not just about squeezing in a workout every now and then, but trying to move more throughout the day.
Starting to hit a little close to home here, making me rethink my Netflix binges. But how did they measure all that activity anyway? Was it steps?
Yeah.
Or like hours spent moving?
It's a bit more in depth. They use something called metabolic equivalents, or MET-Ts for short.
Okay, MBTs. I think I've heard of those.
Mm.
But could you break it down for me?
Okay, so picture a scale of effort, like walking or cleaning. That's about 3 MET-Ts. But then you have something like cycling, which is about 6 MET-Ts. The more MET-Ts, the more energy you're using. And it seems like that energy expenditure, especially from moderate to vigorous activities, that's what might be protecting our brains.
Well, it's not just moving, it's moving with intention, getting that heart rate up. Makes me look at my day in a whole new light.
That's what's so exciting. And it's not about becoming an Olympic athlete overnight. Small changes, they can make a big difference.
Okay, before we get into all that, I always have to ask about studies like this. Were there any limitations we should keep in mind?
Oh, absolutely. And this is important. 96% of the people in the study were white. So we need more research, right, to see if these findings hold true for other demographics and populations.
That makes sense. We need the whole picture to really understand the impact, right?
Yeah.
All right, but I'm ready to talk solutions.
Uh-huh.
What can our listeners actually do with this information? We'll get into that in a minute, right after. Just kidding. Let's keep going. Tell me everything. All right, my brain is already spinning with ways to add more movement to my day. Lay it on me. What are your top tips?
Well, let's start with the obvious one, your workspace.
Yeah.
If you're at a desk all day, could you, I don't know, try a standing desk? Even standing for part of the day could help.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking about those standing desks. Maybe this is the push I needed. But what about those days with, back-to-back meetings? Can't exactly be pacing around the conference room, can I?
Well, no, not exactly. But have you ever thought about walking meetings? Could be a game changer, getting your steps in while you brainstorm.
Ooh, walking meetings. I love that. Fresh air, new scenery, and a lower risk of dementia. I'm sold. What else you got?
Well, think about, those small choices you make throughout the day. Taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking farther away from the store, walking or biking for quick errands. Little things like that can make a difference.
It's like a scavenger hunt for movement. My world is an obstacle course now, but in a good way.
That's the idea. And it doesn't have to be a chore. Find things you actually enjoy, like dancing or gardening, playing with your kids, whatever gets you moving, and make time for it. It's all about finding what works for you.
Speaking of kids, I know this study was about adults, but does it make sense that movement would be just as important for, younger brains? I mean, theirs are still developing, right?
You're exactly right. The study didn't look at children, but there's actually a lot of research that says physical activity is super important for brain development, for cognitive function, at any age.
So it's never too early to start, right? We can set kids up for a lifetime of brain power just by encouraging them to get moving.
That's the idea, and it's never too late either. You can start moving more at any age. The brain is amazing. It can adapt and change.
It's interesting, we often hear about exercise being good for your heart and weight management and all of that. But this connection to brain health just feels so much bigger. Our brains are who we are.
You're so right. When you think about it, our brains control everything, right? Everything we do, everything we think and feel. Protecting our brain health is about protecting our ability to live a good life. It's about staying independent, keeping our memories, our sense of self.
Wow. When you put it that way, it really hits home. It's not just about preventing disease, it's about living our best lives. So where do we go from here? What's the takeaway for our listeners?
Well, here's the interesting part. The takeaway isn't that we all need to run marathons or live at the gym. It's about understanding that movement, any kind of movement that works for you, can be a powerful tool for protecting your brain. This study gives us a starting point, but there's still so much to learn about this connection between our bodies and our minds.
I'm feeling inspired to make some changes in my own life. What final thought would you leave our listeners with today? I don't know about you, but I'm feeling energized after all this talk about brain health. Like, I could go for a walk right now.
Oh, that's the spirit. But even if you aren't quite ready to hit the pavement, the real power of this research, I think, is it shows us we have some control here. You have more control over your brain health than you might think.
It's not just fate, right? We can take action literally to protect ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. This research, it gives us some pretty good evidence that adding more movement into our lives can make a real difference.
It's like we have this secret weapon, against some pretty serious conditions. And the best part is it's free and anyone can do it.
I like that, a secret weapon. It's not about expensive pills or treatments, it's just moving your body.
So what's the one thing you'd want listeners to remember? If they only take away one thing from this deep dive, what should it be?
I think it goes back to what we talked about before, just those small changes. You don't have to become a marathon runner tomorrow. Just start small, find some activities you enjoy, and make them part of your routine. Every step counts.
That's a perfect note to end on. Start small, find the joy in movement, and enjoy the benefits for your brain and your whole self. Before we go, don't forget to check out the show notes for links to this study and for more about the American Academy of Neurology meeting.
It was great diving deep with you, and until next time, keep those brains and bodies active.
Remember, a little movement goes a long way. Thanks for listening.